It has been reported that the blockbuster of all blockbusters has taken place. Mookie Betts and David Price have been sent to the Dodgers in exchange for Kenta Maeda being sent to the Minnesota Twins and Alex Verdugo going from the Dodgers and Brusdar Graterol from the Twins going back to the Boston Red Sox. Also going to the Dodgers was cash to pay for that Price contract. All of this still being reported, not confirmed pending physicals, but it is being reported that it is David Price. Half of that salary is getting slashed in half here by the Red Sox, eating it on cap. So it's fairly easy to say how the Dodgers won this trade. It's fairly easy to say, wow, the Dodgers fleeced everyone here. Because, at the end of the day, they got Mookie Betts, one of the only guys you could probably throw into conversation with Mike Trout right now as one of the best players in baseball. And they got David Price, a guy who I believe still has the potential to be a top of the rotation guy, but he still at the same time is probably going to give you that stable middle of the rotation order type of performance, as pending these last 2 years have been injury and a little bit of a decline, guy being 34. But it's David Price, so you can't count this guy out on the potential he does have, a former generational player himself. But the Twins, though, I think could come out on top of this trade saying, hey, we won this trade as well. It just may take a little bit of time for them for this one to play out for them. Graterol is a young flamethrower who is shaping out to be a bullpen guy here, but a back of the bullpen guy if things play out nonetheless. The big concern with Graterol is this guy has already went elbow surgery, and he did so as a teenager. And then once again, last season, he missed a couple months due to injury as well. And you have to be very worrisome of a guy who consistently is throwing around 100, going and accumulating more and more injuries as he gets older here, and potentially not ever, being able to shape out the way he was planned to be. Hopefully that's not the case with the guy, but that is certainly something that plagues a lot of pitchers in their development years, where you see them not end up making it to the big leagues and staying stable. And for that reason, you can look back and say, hey, the Twins, they let go of this guy, albeit their top pitching prospect at the time. They got rid of him while he was still high to an extent, and they got a guy in Kenta Maeda in return who, say what you will about Kenta Maeda, he has been a little inconsistent, but when he's right, he's right. He's pitching very well, and he's on a very team-friendly deal here, $3.125 million a year, whatever incentives are included, but a base salary of that for a guy that could give you middle of the rotation stuff, you can't beat it if you're the Minnesota Twins. Not to mention he's a versatile guy. He's proven last year in the regular season, in the playoffs, if you want to throw this guy in the bullpen, he can give you good innings out of the bullpen. Maybe the Twins want to try out one of their rookies and squeeze them into this 5-man rotation. And then all of a sudden, Maeda can go and be a cog in the bullpen, and he's still effective there. And again, you talk about that $3 million salary. You don't feel bad about, throwing a guy you traded for back there in the bullpen, even if it is 7th or 8th inning work, when you're only paying a guy $3 million a year anyway. It's tough to swallow saying you give up your top prospect for that. But again, you won't really know what turns out of Graterol until he's in the league for a few years and proven that he can avoid injuries. And then there's the Boston Red Sox. Many will say it's hard to believe they didn't just get completely fleeced. It's tough to justify how they can win this trade, but it's possible here. It reminds me of, the thing with this trade, it reminds me of the Robinson Cano trade. The Mets traded away traded away top prospects in return. Part of that deal was, in the deal was, hey, we'll take this player and this player, but we want you to retain some salary. And that is kind of the case we're seeing here with this Mookie Betts deal, where they're saying, we'll give you Mookie Betts, but we want you to eat David Price's salary to an extent here. And I feel like, when it's a guy like Mookie Betts, you want to get top dollar. You don't tag on somebody else's salary to try to free up some cap space. When it's a player like Mookie Betts, you want to get top talent prospects. But that's the way the Boston Red Sox went with this one. And I think it still can work out for him at the end of the day. We brought up the potential that Graterol has to be a back of the bullpen type of guy. We brought up the negative side, but the positive side is he could be that guy that goes out there and takes over a closing role in Boston, and he's under, again, a young guy under team control for a very long time. And then you look at Verdugo, who batted .294 last season for the Dodgers, and he remains under team control until 2024. You don't know what that guy is going to bring to the table. And you have to believe the Red Sox thought when it was trading David Price away, saying we'll even retain some of the salary for you, that they was believers that he's on the decline. We've seen the last couple years some injuries, a little bit, we've seen the slow decline happening, but we've seen it with pitchers 34, 35 have bounced back big seasons afterwards. But you have to believe the Red Sox said, we're done with David Price. We want to try to save that money and spend it elsewhere type of deal, which they can now do since he's off the books, sort of. Half of that salary is off the books there. And it's obviously easy to justify the David Price part of this trade, but Betts being the big hitter in this one. At the end of the day, it was 1 year. You look at Mookie Betts, 1-year deal. Even now he's going to the Dodgers and he's still saying, and I'm wanting to go to free agency. You don't know where he's going to end up at free agency. It's a big question mark for any team. So it's a 1-year deal and you look and say, all right, then it's 1 year for Mookie Betts. Can we go without him? We picked up a replacement in the outfield, albeit it's not Mookie Betts. This is a very good outfield still, and this guy's got the potential to be a cornerstone of that outfield for 4, 5, 6, however many more years to come. It's a smart move by the Red Sox. Oftentimes, we're seeing more and more of these bigger teams, the Red Sox and the Yankees, where they're realizing, hey, we just can't buy every player. You got to build from within and be able to, pay those guys down the road. And we're kind of seeing out of the Red Sox now where it stinks. It stings a lot to let a guy like Mookie Betts go. It's hard to pass it up. But if you want to say, hey, I'm going to get 2 guys that have, very good potential of being big leaguers for many years to come, and I only have to give up a 1-year rental on Mookie Betts, granted, it's Mookie Betts, you have to look at that as a win for the Red Sox if something does come about for that out of those 2 players.